Hello everyone and welcome back to Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. In this story, OP says, "How I caught her, this worked for me, and this is my story after 6 years." So, the first time I suspected that my wife was seeing someone else was when I asked if I can use her phone, and she was reluctant to give it to me. This was out of the blue, and we had what I thought was a great relationship. She actually felt it was great too, but apparently not enough. So, when she was reluctant, I jokingly asked if she's seen anyone else, and of course, she denied it. Never did use her phone, and a few days later, I'm sitting at work and it hits me like a ton of bricks. I knew she was fooling around. So, that night, I casually asked her about again, and she flatly denies it, tells me I have nothing to worry about, blah blah. At that point, I had to have some proof, so I took an old cell phone and installed an app called Life 360. It allows family members to log in and share GPS location with everyone else. It's really intended to parents to keep a track of their children. So I set that up and would sneak into her car in the backseat pocket and get it out every few days to charge it. They were lying low, I think because of me asking about it. It took several weeks of this routine of charging and checking the logs daily, and I was close to giving up. But then it happened. She had a day off and she kissed me goodbye that morning, said she was going to the gym, and I went off to work. Later that afternoon, I called up the logs and saw she had been in a hotel for a couple of hours that morning. My heart was racing and it was the worst day of my life. I could go into details, but it would just drag me down, and you all know the feeling of D-Day. I gathered myself and it took a couple of days to bring it up as I made my plans. I just casually asked if she would ever cheat on me, and again she said I'd been ridiculous. Of course she never would. By this point, I had been reading forums about what to do, and everyone said to have proof. A log of GPS locations are not total proof. One day, by chance, her phone was having problems and she needed a new one. I told her I would pick one up for her. There are 2 companies that provide apps that will record your text messages and then send them to a website that allows you to monitor them. They are expensive. I think it was about $200 for 6 months. I installed the app and gave her the new phone. At the same time, I bought a recorder and also stuck that in her car along with the GPS tracker cell phone. The next month or so was the longest of my life. I gathered text and recordings. I only found one phone call, but it was devastating. I also got 20 pages of text messages between them, and during this time, I also talked to a divorce attorney, made plans to cancel the credit cards, close the bank accounts, etc. I fully intended to divorce her. She had another day off. She said she was going to the gym and kissed me goodbye. As soon as I got to the office, I logged in and started watching her texts. They were making plans to meet at a hotel later that morning. That was all I needed. I texted her and said, "You would never cheat on me, would you?" She said, "Of course not." I printed off the texts and headed home. I walked in and she looked stunning. Needless to say, it was not gym attire. She was wearing a dress, full makeup, and her hair down. I kissed her for a long moment. I honestly thought it would be the last time we kiss, and then led her over to the couch. At this point, after seeing how she looked, I had decided on the spot to file for divorce. I was holding both her hands and looked at her directly for a minute, and she said I was scaring her and looked away. I asked her again if she'd seen someone else. She denied it and looked away. I told her I have talked to a divorce attorney, and unless she started telling me the truth, I was filing for divorce later that day. She denied it again. I reached into my bag and handed over the envelope with 20 pages of text messages between them. She asked me if these were divorce papers, and I didn't say a word. She pulls out the papers and started reading the messages and breaks down, crying hysterically. After about 30 minutes, she regains her composure, and I tell her if I don't hear the whole story, I am driving straight to the divorce attorney. We talk for 3 hours straight and she tells me everything. We agreed that she needed to call the guy and end it, and she did it in front of me. Then I asked her to pack a bag and spend a few nights in a hotel. I changed the locks on the house that night and let her know about it. This was shocking and all, but she needed to see what she was losing. I had a voice recorder in her purse from the night before and still had the GPS tracking app, so I knew if she broke no contact. She never did, and that was the last contact she had with that guy. The no contact part was what allowed me to try to reconcile. I never told her how I got the messages and continued to monitor them at least a couple of years. There was 3 more years of pain and it was never smooth sailing, but we are still together 6 years later. So I hope this helps someone. Until I found evidence, I felt terrible that I was spying on her. It made me feel pathetic as weeks went on without no results. But had I not had the evidence, I never would have gotten the truth. She did lie about several things that morning, but gave me enough truth that I did not file for divorce that day, and we worked through the lies. Our relationship is not the same and never will be, but I'm reasonably happy with life most days. But my life is about me now instead of being focused on her. I've learned so much about myself, her, relationships, and life in general. I still think about divorce many times when normal problems come up, but I think it's normal. Edit. We both worked on this a lot with marriage counseling and individual therapists. Basically, cheaters rarely know why, but typically it usually boils down to their selfishness and tells them they deserve anything they want. She gave herself permission to have the relationship, but was helped by a d-bag idiot that just saw a pretty woman to bed and put on the full court press. She definitely cheated down, as a lot of women do, and I could not even be jealous after I researched his background. A real loser that had she left me for would have caused her a lot of regret when the new wore off. Shortly after D-Day, I found an article about men like that prey on married, unsuspecting women, and every point the article made about the techniques were the same as what she had described this lowlife had been using on her. She was angry for months after she read the articles and realized that she had been played. She deserves all the blame for it because she could have said no at any point. After a couple of years of therapy, she was no closer to coming up with an answer of why, and she honestly tried to work through it. We both did. We had hundreds of hours of conversations about why, and the above is the best that we could come up with. End of the story, and I wish both of them good luck. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Before we go, let's listen to a few comments by the beautiful community. Comment 1. Geez, I'm sorry that happened to you. My husband thinks I'm crazy because I caught him cheating through his phone. I went through it a few times and I saw some things that I didn't like. I called him out on it and he would cry and be remorseful but kept doing it. My story hasn't ended because he still talks to that girl. All I want him to do is stop. I think I need to end things. He's putting her and himself before me, and it is unacceptable with how he has already treated me. My question is, how are you able to continue the relationship with your wife? Don't you resent her? Aren't you paranoid that she will do it again? How long did it take for those feelings to go away, if they did? OP's reply. Thanks. Sorry it happened to you too. Betraying is the worst thing a spouse can do. You deserve better than to have a spouse that is doing something that you have already told him to stop. The only way to deal with those people like him and my wife is to have hard boundaries. Give them the boundaries and the consequence if they break it and be committed to follow through. If you don't do that, then they have permission to continue. I was able to stay with her because we had a great friendship above all. Sounds kind of weak, but we were and are best friends. I would still be friends had we divorced. I did resent it for a couple of years, but at some point you have to move forward and let go of the pain. It's the only way to be happy again, and I did not want to be mired in the anger and negative thoughts. It took me about 4 years to get there. I'm not paranoid, but I don't have my head under a rock either. She honestly checks in often, so I'm never worried about what she's doing. She has been 100% open since. Passwords, phone, text, I have it all. Never even used any of them, but it's some help. We have no secrets any longer about anything or about our feelings. Comment 2. Ha ha, and we sure know for a fact that she did not consider looking to see if he has put something in her purse. My goodness, no. If someone magically had printouts of the history of my text messages for the last few months, then I'd be afraid to breathe and would be checking on my own body to see where his source of info might be coming from. So, unless you folks were in the hotel room with her, you don't know what she may have found. OP's reply: I'm amazed at the anger and suspicion that some people hold on to. It's so easy to sit back and judge a situation where you were not in the room for the hundreds of hours of open and no-holds-barred talks for over many years. It sounds like that you believe once someone cheated, they will do it again, and that is totally true. But I hate to break it to you, but the next woman you are with has the exact same potential to do it as the one you are leaving. The more attractive the woman, the greater the chance. It happens, and it happens often. So, leaving a cheater is absolutely no guarantee that it won't happen to you again. I'd say you need to let that suspicions go and start living in the moment. Leave the past behind and don't worry about what ifs of the future. End of the story. Please like, comment and share if you enjoyed the video. Also, subscribe and hit the bell icon and join us officially so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.